ITH for making my son live with his mother, stepdad, and three step-siblings after he verbally abused my husband. This entire situation is kinda FUC ked. And honestly, I'm a bit heartbroken for my husband. Real name Zedyam Sean 37, MS, my husband is Zach 36M, and my son is 16, not saying his name. I divorced my ex-wife after she cheated on me for the entirety of our marriage. That was over a decade ago, IDC anymore. Son is mine, already over and done. I met Zach when I was 28, my son was 7. Me and Zach hit it off instantly. I was finally in a place to start dating again, and thankfully, he was the first person I was interested in. We connected on everything me and my ex-wife did and a million more things. People say life has a plan for you, and honestly, I believe it. I'd go through a million more divorces and being cheated on over and over if I ended up with him every time. One of the big things was my son. Zach was hesitant at first, just because of the situation, but he wanted a family badly, and I was excited for him to meet my son. After dating for a year, I talked to my ex and told her, I'm introducing our son to a guy I'm seeing. Told her it's serious, and I see a future with him. She was happy for me, we have a very good relationship, now just told me to tell her when I was going to do it, so she can be prepared if our son had any questions for her when he visited next. Zach and my son were best friends. Did everything together. They loved playing Minecraft together. They spent hours sitting in front of the TV. I loved watching them. I was so FUC king happy. The first person I found after my ex was this amazing. After about 6 months, I asked Zach to move in, and the rest is exactly as I've been describing. Amazing. My son started calling Zach his other dad when he was 10. Very sweet moment, which makes this hurt worse. Well, last weekend my son had 3 of his friends over. They were playing video games in his room, and I just left to do grocery shopping for the week, so it was just them and Zach. I don't know how this topic came up, but things got very homophobic. My husband was sitting on the couch, and I guess my son and his friends thought me and him left, but it was just me. My son's room is connected to the living room, so if you're sitting in the living room, it's not super hard to hear what's going on in his room if he's being loud enough. 4 teenage boys playing video games. One of them said, "How's it feel having a F slur? IDK if I can say it or not on here. As a father." My son laughed and said kinda shitty. They said my husband probably touched him when he was little, and my son replied, "He can try it, now he'll get his ass beat." So not even being a dick to Zach, but now also threatening him over something we all know he would never do. They kept saying shit like, "Which one do you think takes it in the ass?" Probably the F slur. At least your real dad still likes women. Just a bunch of hateful shit. My husband sat there listening to it all silently crying. Also, Zach has spent good 4 hours a day at the gym for the last 3 years. So IDK who's getting their @S-beat, but it ain't him. I got home about 2 hours later to my husband sitting in his car with a bag packed waiting for me, so he could leave, but didn't want to leave my son alone. I asked what's going on. Why are you leaving? And he told me everything. I tried to understand as best I could. I insisted he wasn't serious, he's just being a stupid kid acting tough with his friends, but it didn't matter, the damage was done. Zach left, and I went inside and went off on my son. His friends left, and I spent a good 3 hours going back and forth with my son. At first he was very unapologetic and kind of agreed with his friends. I asked if he actually thought my husband sexually abused him when he was younger, and he said, no, but kids block those kinds of memories out, so really who knows. I told him to pack his shit, he's living with his mother. Info. His mom lives 3 hours away, which means new school, new friends if at all, less private space, as he'd have to share a room with his stepbrother, etc. Just everything that you'd expect going from a single kid in a house to one of 4. My son instantly changed his attitude. He was crying, begging me not to send him away. He didn't mean it. He was just lying to seem cool to his friends. I asked why did he double down when they left, and he didn't have an answer. I told him to pack his shit, he's leaving in the morning. Called my ex, told her the situation, and she agrees he needs something drastic. What he did wasn't okay at all. Fast forward to now, and my husband is back. But he cries every night. Honestly, it feels like he's mourning, which I don't want, because when you mourn, you don't get over someone, you get as close to indifferent as possible to keep living your life without them. I don't want that. I want my husband and my son to have that strong bond I know they have, and don't want them to throw it away over this. I don't agree with what my son did, but those accusations at minimum can ruin someone's life, and at most end it. I'm disgusted with my son. He calls me, every day tells me he misses me and Zach and wants to come home. I stay strong on the phone, but after I break down and my husband tries to console me. Tells me my son can come back and he will leave, but no, I'm not doing that. I just don't know what to do. I miss my son, I miss coming home and seeing them spending time together. I've thought about therapy for him, but he said no. You can't force therapy on someone, they'll just sit there for an hour and piss away $400. I need advice.